But speaking of people who are frustrated, oh, brother, Alex Albon, annoyed, frustrated.
Can I get a back-to-back in the chats? We got back-to-back DNFs for Alex Albon.
Yeah.
We got back-to-back Q1 exits for Carlos Sainz. I mean, Williams is just
I forgot about that part.
crapping it away, dude.
Oh, man. So,
Like, bums me out, obviously, as a semi-Williams fan. I mean, my prediction.
Dude, the way that you embrace Williams when they have a strong weekend is like, I told you, Tristan. So you're basically
it's almost more excited than like,
you're happier to see them net a P6 than you are to see McLaren win races right now. That's just your life.
Yeah, fair.
Wild. Anyway, but no, like we're all happy when Williams do well, but like some people are a little happier than others.
Look, I want my prediction to work out. I remember how asinine you thought it was that I said Williams is going to finish P5, and you're like, they're lucky if they finish P7.
Look, hold that thought because I've got some stuff to say.
Okay, look, all right, we're still
starting with
good.
Alex Albon though. He had himself a weekend to forget in Montreal. You mentioned it, DNF. This even goes into qualifying where his entire engine cover flew off.
How does that even happen?
Q1. I think they just caught some weird air. Remember when Yuki Tsunoda's like front wing just snapped in China?
I do remember that.
Yeah, it happens. I don't know. The car didn't blow up. It was such a weird thing to happen. Under a red flag, though, they were able to fix the entire engine cover, and the dude lands in P8. Dog. Absolute DAWG dog. And then guess what happens? We're going to leave him out there on crappy mediums and see what happens for 23 laps.
Knowing that the mediums suck.
9 out of the other 10 teams were all reporting how bad the mediums were. They left him out there. He disagreed with the strategy to stay out. He wanted to be pit when everybody else was being pit. Was ignored. And then they finally pit him at like lap 23. They thought they were going to be ambitious with their strategy. He falls all the way to P20, gets stuck in a DRS train behind Lance Stroll, Ollie Behrman, Pierre Gasly, and I think Franco Colapinto. Liam Lawson, I think, was the only driver behind Alex Albon at one point. He DNFs, and then Alex Albon's engine just blows up. Basically, it just shuts off. It stops working. I think it was like lap 43.
I don't think Alex Albon's going to be visiting Canada anytime soon.
So, like, a weekend to forget,
again
for
Williams.
Yeah, kind of. I mean, Carlos Sainz did salvage some things. He got a P10 after having a Q1 exit, which is crazy. So
they got one strategy right.
They got one thing right. But my question is, here it is. Aston Martin creeping back into this fold. Is Aston Martin going to start giving them a run for their money?
Well, I'll give you a quick breakdown. So Williams is sitting at 5th with 55 points. Mm-hmm. And then Haas and VCAR both have 28 points.
Yep.
So they're obviously tied for 6th and 7th, however you want to look at it. Aston Martin have 22.
Yes. So why would I ask?
But if you're gonna throw Aston Martin in there, I mean, hell, throw in Kick Sauber because they're 2 points behind Aston Martin.
Let's give a little props to Nico Hulkenberg. The dude's driving like a maniac.
You want to talk about drivers doing better than anticipated?
Yeah, I mean, he did that last year too with Haas, though. But to stay on my point, is Aston Martin going to creep back into this fold?
No,
they have brought. All right, hang on before you.
Well, I have the team.
Okay, sure. So they brought some pretty strong upgrades, most recently in Spain and in Canada. They have outperformed Williams in both of those weekends with Fernando Alonso finishing P9 and then P7, outscoring Williams 8-1 over those last 2 race weekends. Constructors gap between the two sitting at just 27 points. And we've seen how quickly things can change in this sport. Going back to I'm not saying that Aston Martin are going to get a podium, but I mean, all it takes is one crazy weekend for things to completely flip for the Constructors' Championship, especially when you're in the midfield. So Aston Martin, right now, at least in my eyes, look like the 5th fastest team in Formula One. The points don't reflect that, but the performance on track the last couple of weekends, post upgrades do.
If any team's going to overtake Williams, it's going to be VCARB.
Because of Isaac Hadjar?
Simply because of Isaac Hadjar.
So good, he said no to Red Bull.
He's like, Red Bull, you thought, bro. You're going to have to sit there and you're going to have to stick with your
You're going to have to wait until 2026. But you really think VCARB are going to be
I think if you're looking at Haas, VCARB, Aston Martin, and Kick Sauber, I feel most confident about VCARB.
I think Aston Martin, personally. Because not only do they have...
So are we completely just crapping on Haas?
Well,
their possibilities.
Look, with all due respect to Esteban Ocon, he's not better than any of the other drivers within that,
Mhm.
that bubble besides maybe Lance Stroll and currently Ollie Behrman.
My only worry
Right.
is how much Lawson's bringing down VCARB.
Well, that's a good question to ask, but we'll get there in a moment.
But again,
you could argue, or excuse me, you can even throw Liam Lawson into that
it's
conversation.
even all the more that I feel more confident about Williams maintaining this position. They're 27 points, but ahead of Haas and VCARB. Like I said, they're tied with 28. So, I mean, they have 28 points. They're 27 points ahead. They would have to almost double what they already have.
Look, realistically, do I think that Aston Martin are 100% going to catch Williams? It's going to take some work, especially in the midfield where the points are not double digits every single weekend. But what we are seeing out of Fernando Alonso is pretty special. The fact that he's getting that high up into Q3, starting races P5, P6, tumbling only like one spot, if I'm not mistaken. He finished P7 in this last Grand Prix weekend.
They're saying that he had the worst.
He was the unluckiest driver in the world, and then Imola to see that turn around. Yes. I would argue that he is the best driver in this entire bubble that we talked about here, right next to Carlos Sainz. But what I think
Alex Albon's been the better driver for Williams personally.
Well, I'm just general talent. So what I'm saying is, I think that Aston Martin are going to jump the field as far as what Haas and VCARB are going to be doing. Generally speaking, they have a better infrastructure. They have more resources being put into the car. Generally speaking, I know they're putting a lot of effort into 2026. They're putting a lot behind Adrian Newey, but they're not going to just completely punt everything that they have in 2025. It's the same as Mercedes. They're going to bring some upgrades. They're going to try to stay relatively competitive. They're not going to just settle for, we want to finish in 8th because we think we're going to be great next year. You can't guarantee that. You got to at least try.
I'm going to finish off with saying I think it's going to be Williams to lose, but if there was a team that would be in contention, my team would be VCARB.
I would say Aston Martin would be that
because Hadjar is just making it all too common to get into Q3s.
Yeah, but I think that the net points overall are still going a little bit more towards Aston Martin. So what I am saying is that generally speaking, they have the better infrastructure, and I think Aston Martin, with that behind them, have the best shot at unseating Williams. Do I think they are absolutely going to do this after 10 rounds and going into round 11 in Austria? I'm not going to say that for a fact, but if there's going to be anybody to do it, it's going to be Aston Martin.
Nevertheless, tough weekend for Williams. Definitely need a bounce back. Need a back-to-back that doesn't include DNFs and Q1 exits.
Yeah.
They need to get back on the train of both of them finishing in Q3s and both of them finishing in the points, and they'll definitely be able to solidify themselves in 5th and keep building progress on the Williams. Bad weekend, just need a bounce.